What if I told you that the key to creating unforgettable characters is breaking the rules? Welcome, scribes of the extraordinary. Today, we're going beyond entertainment and diving deeper into the craft of storytelling by talking about archetypes, specifically how you can make them work for you. We're going to talk about how to identify some archetypes, as well as how to twist and subvert them for your own use. So, did you know that every character you enjoy is an archetype? There are hundreds and hundreds of archetypes out there, and an archetype is a recurring character role seen throughout time and history. The difference between archetype and a trope is time period and culturally specific, where an archetype is much more universal. So your characters are all going to fall into some kind of archetypial? All your characters are going to fall into some kind of archetype role. And that can easily lead to cliches. But before we get into how to fix that problem, let's look at the importance of learning archetypes. So, when you are creating characters, it could be a very, very useful tool. And the whole reason I'm making this video for you guys is to learn archetypes. Go look up one of those lists of several hundred archetypes and pick some of your favorites. But first, I want you to create an archetype catalog. Take note of characters that you really like in books, in movies, in shows, in whatever, and notice which archetype they fit into. Take a catalog of all of these different archetypes that you really genuinely enjoy. For example, the hero. The hero is the archetype that is courageous and determined, and they save people. And then you have the mentor, and the mentor is the wise. They give advice. They're an advisor and a guide for the hero. Typically, it's going to be a hero character that they advise. You have the trickster, embodies mischief and humor. And they typically showcase this mischief in a very cunning and clever way. And then you have the rebel who challenges the status quo. It's their whole thing, challenge the status quo. They tend to be the ones that take down whatever status quo they are initially fighting against. And then you have the shadow, and the shadow represents the dark, repressed aspects of your hero characters. Typically, when you see a shadow show up, they're going to be everything that the hero is afraid of becoming, which is a very fun character to play with. And I would love to hear, what are some of your favorite archetypes? Let me know about them below so you can encourage one another, and maybe you'll teach someone about a new archetype that they didn't know about before. So, in a world filled with cliches, how do you make sure that your characters stand out? Well, it is very simple. We have the list of archetypes that we enjoy. Great. And now we're going to subvert it. And the way that you subvert it is you look at the key traits of those archetypes. You pick one, you pick a couple traits and think, how can I change this trait? What could I change it to? So use this subversion strategy to really twist these archetypes into something more unique. Change one or two traits. For example, you have the sage character. The sage is often referred to as the wise old sage. But what if they're not old? What if your sage was young, very young? What if you had a teenager who was guiding an adult? That's a way to really subvert the perception of what a sage should be and really break the mold. Similarly, what if you take the shadow, who's supposed to be the embodiment of dark and evil and all of these negative traits, and understands evil so intimately, and your shadow's your protagonist, who over the course of the story becomes a hero. Usually the hero is trying not to become the shadow, and the shadow is trying to make the hero become them. But what if you had the shadow use his knowledge of darkness in order to be a hero? Now that's a twist that someone who truly came from a point of darkness and flipped, that would be a really interesting story. An example kind of in this line is going to be Batman. He is a hero who understands the evils of the underworld and uses that to his advantage. So he could be a hero, he could be a shadow hero, but I think if you take someone who starts in this really, really dark place, as a person, their personality, their choices are very dark, and they flip through the story to be a hero, I think that would be a fantastic and really engaging character. Another character that you can twist is the loner. Loners tend to be isolated and withdrawn. Either they don't feel like they fit in and they self-isolate, or everyone around them's like, we don't really want you here, go over there. And they're cast out. Typically, loners are lone wolves because they either have gone through hard times and they can't trust others, or others can't trust them. Kind of a lose-lose situation. But what if you had a loner who thrived off of being alone? Not only were they happy being alone, but they could get a lot done alone. Can you imagine writing a character who everyone's like, oh, he must be alone because there's something tragic in his past, or he can't trust us, and he just shows up and go, hey guys, nice talking to you. I need to go handle some things, so I'll see you next year. Goes off, does the things excellently. What if you had a loner who chose to be alone because he genuinely enjoyed it and genuinely did better by himself? So have you ever subverted an archetype before while writing a character? I would love to hear some of your ideas down in the comments below so we can continue this engagement and encouraging one another. I love subverting archetypes. They're so much fun. And are you tired of cliches? Well, you can break the mold and craft amazing characters with this final technique. So we have your list of archetypes that you enjoy. You subverted some archetypes already, which is really cool. But now let's take it to another level. Pick 2. If you're feeling really fancy, pick 3. But pick 2 archetypes and combine them together. Create this fusion formula where you take multiple archetypes and you put them into a single character. Now, a tip for doing this: really interesting characters tend to have polarizing aspects to them. So I would recommend picking archetypes that kind of polarize each other, a little bit contradictory. For example, we have the rebel. As we've talked about earlier, they are breaking the status quo. They want to destroy whatever's normal. And you combine them with a caregiver who's nurturing and loving and supportive. Suddenly, you have a character who simultaneously wants to destroy and bring something down and nurture and lift something up, or others up. This is a very polarizing character, but it can make someone really, really interesting to follow. Another example is the warrior, this battle-hardened warrior mixed with the jester. So you have someone who's really skilled in combat and someone who adds levity via sense of humor. Fantastic examples of these are 2 of my favorite superheroes. On the DC side, that's going to be the original Robin, Dick Grayson Robin, because he started as a child, so he added all this levity to all of the skills and the fighting styles that Batman taught him. And then on the Marvel side, favorite superhero of all time period is going to be Spider-Man. Now, he falls a little bit more into kind of the trickster role than the jester role. He kind of bounces back and forth. But he's a fighter, he's a warrior that uses his cunning and uses his humor to fight as well. And both of those characters are really, really fun to deal with, especially in kind of the superhero genre where it's often really dark. To have a character with more levity who's having fun with it, they are so much fun to follow. And now we have the innocent, naive, typically a child, doesn't know much about the world, and the trickster. Oh, what a combination that would be. To have someone who looks young and innocent, oh, you don't know much, and is an absolute prankster, mischievous, that would create a character that you would either fall in love with or would just cause you grief every time that they showed up, but in the best way. So you see how you can take these different polarizing archetypes and bring them together for something unique. Which archetype combination are you going to craft? I'd love to hear more about what you guys are creating and what is really sparking your imagination. These characters are so much fun to combine, and it really helps alleviate the pressure of cliches. If you're combining characters, if you take an archetype that you enjoy, you can't run away from archetypes. You can't run away from tropes. If you try not to follow them, you're going to end up following ones you weren't trying to follow in the first place. It's inevitable. So take what you enjoy, use that as freedom, and take what you enjoy and twist it. Change a couple things about the archetype or combine them together to create truly incredible and new characters. If you appreciated this content, I would really appreciate if you all subscribe. I make these videos for you to learn writing, to learn styles, to learn how to craft better characters. Because I want as many writers out there to be bolstered in confidence and just write the stories they love and that's on their hearts to tell. But my scribes of the extraordinary, that is all I have for you today. I look forward to our next encounter as we continue going beyond entertainment, one step at a time.